Hey guys, Steve Zanardo. This episode is based on off-the-cuff real estate news and what's currently on the market. So Chris and Silver are going to ask me some questions that I don't know what they're going to ask. So let's see what we can do here.
It says that Ontario's year-long rent freeze is about to expire. How do you think that's going to affect the market, or what do you think about it going forward?
So I froze mine for 2 years. Even when they weren't asking to freeze, I froze it regardless. Just because, people are going through hard times, and plus my type of rentals are not, it's not like like high income families and stuff like that. So it's more middle class and stuff like that. So it's every dollar counts. Let's just say that. How's that going to affect? I don't think it's going to affect, to be honest, because look, it's inflation. It's usually between 2 and 3% inflation per year. I think last time I raised the rent was like 2.2%. So it's like $17 to $30 a month on some of my properties. It's not going to affect it. What's going to affect the rent is when properties keep turning hands, like investors keep turning hands and kicking out the current tenants, and that's where you get that big jump in rent. Because I'll give you an example. One of my rental properties that I purchased in 2014, at the time we were getting $1,500 a month, which was like astronomical. It was like top dollar, at least by like 10 or 12% more than anyone else was, maybe even more, maybe 15% more than anyone else was getting for this particular property at that time. But obviously, 2014, what's that, 7 years later, that property is probably down $1,000 per month, that what I should be getting in today's market. So instead of getting $1,500, I should be getting like at least minimum of $2,500, maybe even more. But ultimately, we always got to look at it. We purchased this property back in 2014, so the prices were a lot different. And for example, like I paid this property $335,000, and now it's worth about $700,000, so it's doubled in value. So always remember the mortgage is very low, so it's not affecting me. I'm still a cash positive property, and I don't mind holding the tenants at that price range.
So the next one is, people are fleeing Ontario in droves to buy cheaper houses in other provinces like Atlantic Canada, the Maritimes, and more Eastern Canada. What do you think about that?
So a lot of people are fleeing Ontario? How many numbers? Like how many people does it have you? Because to be honest, I don't know anybody. I haven't seen anybody really migrate that I know of into other provinces. I know obviously Ontario is very expensive, but to leave, I haven't seen anybody.
This might be in the thousands, but if it is, then it shows that 8,000 people have recently left in the past couple months.
Yeah. I think it makes sense, right? Ultimately, if you're in... So look at the migration. You're always going to move north, right? If you kind of look at the migrations, the Italians, and we got here and everything was on College and St. Clair, and then there's always one move up. So it was College, St. Clair, then it was like Rexdale, or like Mississauga, Malton, or Brampton. Like it was always one step, and then it was Woodbridge. And then after Woodbridge became unaffordable for those kids, then it became Bolton, Tottenham, Alliston, and then and so on and so on. So obviously the previous generations had that are going through the same growth north, right? Affordability is not there, and they keep going north. So yeah, I can see that happening because look at like where's the affordability? If you go to Midland right now, you're looking at I don't know, like a small detached is still about $600,000 to $700,000 in Midland. So like how far north can people go? Does it even make sense to them? So if they move to a different province, yeah, I can see that happening.
This is the last one that we have, and it's people are projecting that Canadian real estate is now a bubble on top of a bubble. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, we all agree on the same thing. Yeah. It's been a bubble forever, right? We look at it like, why is it at these prices? It's lack of supply for the demand that we have, and it's only going to get worse. So even if it's a bubble on top of a bubble, like I can't see it. Look at London, Rome, like older cities like Paris. Not to say we're very comparable to them, but we are a big city. Ultimately, follow their history. Like how much is a condo or like a townhouse in England or in UK rather? Like $15 million for a townhouse, like a brownstone version, 20 million, like pounds. What is the like? So we're still quite cheap. It's just we're so spoiled and babied that we think that we deserve to have these great houses and these great yards and double car garage. It's not the case. And you know what? As the population grows, what's the population? 8 billion people, and people start to migrate, to find better places for their family to grow and more resources rather, right, for their family. Yeah, Canada's going to be a number one destination. It's going to be just keep growing and getting more expensive.
So you don't think there's going to be a time where it's going to pop?
Yeah, they're going to have ups and downs for sure, but we don't know when now. It's just crazy. Like they're going to have to shut it off. So look, I'm very conservative. I do a lot of investing, but I'm very conservative. like I look at everything like 50 times before I do anything. It's just, it is what it is. And you know, I'm always afraid of the market. You're buying a property and you're basically overpaying for it, and you can't hold on to it and you lose it. That's the worst fear of anybody. So ultimately, I'm always fearful if the market's changing. That's why I'm always looking at statistics to kind of find a pattern that I can follow and always make, you know, wise decisions going forward. The pandemic should have flattened everything. Like, it didn't make sense. Like when March came, like it's March 2020 came, it was the end. I go, this is the end. This is what I've been planning for when I talk about preparation. Like, this is why I didn't spend so much money. I always, you know, spent X rather than Y. It was always like a preparation because at some point something's going to happen. And you know, even the current house that I live in now, it's an expensive house, and these ones drop the highest. You can drop 20, 30 points, lose $400,000 or $500,000 in equity, like, you know, overnight. So weird thing with the pandemic, everything went the other way around. So I still don't understand what happened with that, to be honest. And there have to be some sort of dramatic event or like, I don't even know. I hope you liked the video. If you have any topics or questions that you want answered and you want my take on them, especially if they're regarding real estate, please forward them to us. You can, you know, hit them up here on YouTube or Instagram, and we'll get them on the next video.